Sachi. Thank you everyone for that wonderful welcome. It's always special time to spend this particular, even if it is 15 minutes with all of you, sometimes more meaningful than long hours that we talk. Uh, this topic is actually very interesting and we will see how much we can do in this next 15 minutes. Uh, it says negative dependencies. Hints that there are something which are positive dependencies too. And we live in a world where nobody wants to be dependent on anyone, isn't it? We all talk about, I'm an independent man, I'm an independent woman. That's even more better. Everybody appreciates that. And there is certain value to that, but there is a different perspective to look at it. Are we truly independent? We used to be part of a school, and there one of the exercise we would do is try to understand nature, or like the plants and trees and then animals uh, in their true essence, and then see if we find any resonance in the texture of that in ourselves. So I remember one of the teachers, or she said ki, I am like a ivy, or a creeper. And we were all surprised, okay, why? And then she said, see, I always need a support to climb or to go anything. And it was so apt. You see, like the plant, like an ivy or creeper, we know that even like the huge pumpkin is also is actually a creeper plant. And it does require a tremendous support without which it can't actually climb or spread out easily. And she said, I find that in me, because if I don't have a support, I sort of collapse. But if there is a support, I can really, really thrive. Now, we may seek your poor her. I am not like an ivy. I am like an oak plant. I can stand on my own 2 feet. But it isn't that. Again, when we talk about being independent, we want to look at very carefully, are we really independent? I like many a time, I like coffee, not for the kick of it, but the taste of it. So in the morning, that's one of the first thing when I wake up, I have like a cup of coffee and a little milk and little coffee, a little hint of sugar. I made my coffee. But if you see even that tiny small drink, how many elements come together when we make it? There's somewhere the coffee has come from. And again, if you have like a very fancy coffee, it actually tells you which coffee state it comes from, meaning it actually there was a plant somewhere and people are working on it, some farmers or someone who is actually making those coffee state and then coffee beans, which effectively come to you somehow. And then there is a milk, and then there's the sugar, all these ingredients for that even tiny smallest cup of coffee, which actually don't even pay attention after a sip of it. So many different elements come together for me so that I can have that coffee. But I say I made that coffee. Is it entirely true? It isn't it? And if you see anything when we talk about, okay, if I remove, I really want to be on my own. Is it really possible? Is it truly possible? Not at all. Any situation, any circumstances will suit. It is possible. There are many energies combined together to make that particular event or a moment possible. Extremely interwoven fabric of existence we live in. We need each other. We absolutely are actually supporting each other. Even when a person says that I'm a self-made man or self-made woman, there's a perception to that, but in extreme reality, it is so intertwined and interconnected. And in many ways, we are actually supporting each other all the time, not necessarily personally, consciously, but it is happening. So when we're talking about so interconnected, where is my independence? And in fact, there is no independence in that. So what is the negative part of this dependence then? There is absolutely none. But what is the negative bit? When we look at this interwoven fabric, we see help coming our way. We see our needs are getting satisfied. And what is the mistake? We make personalize it. Today, Sachi said some nice things about me. I say Sachi is such a nice person. I have framed that. Now Sachi has become a nice person in my impression. Tomorrow, maybe someone, again, I don't think anybody will introduce me badly, but let's just for the sake of it, Pradnya introduces me in a terrible way or says not so beautiful things as Sachi. And now all of a sudden I say Pradnya is bad. Hmm? And in the same thing, Swapna Lekha is basically going and saying something more neutral. I'm basically putting labels on something which I am hearing. Hmm? And what if Sachi changes her opening tomorrow and says something else? Then what happens? I'm trying to change my impression again and again. What I've put my dependence on is what I've understood, what my mind has made an impression out of it. Fabric, whenever there's a need, help may come at times. A dear friend of mine, again, she was a teacher, and then she had this thought, in my class, let me do something very special for the before I give grades to my students. So she decided that she's going to make like a tree, like a with actual leaves and actual portions from the trunk for each student. And there were like 50 of her students there. And there was 24 hours before the submission or the grades were due. And it was impossible. I mean, 8 hours to sleep and then some other work. But she thought, okay, I have to do this. So she said, what do I do? Whom can I call? She had no idea. She didn't know who can come and help. But she felt this has to be done. So what did she do? She started putting one thing after the other on some leaves, first tree, halfway through. All of a sudden, one of the parent was watching or walking past by her room, and she said, like, hey, what are you up to? And she said, this is what my intention I want to do. So it's a good, interesting idea. I can help you. And say one person more. Once she joined by her, continued two of them together, and all of a sudden few more join, and then few more join. And in some time, there were like a 10, 15 of them working on that so-called impossible task. And in very short duration, much earlier than what she had been anticipated, the task was done. A thought had come. She felt this needs to be done. It felt impossible for her to be done alone, and yet all the support needed was given to her to accomplish that task. Was it personal? Some of them probably knew her personally. But it isn't that she called them and planned it activity before or something like that. Providence helps. See this intertwined or interconnected fabric of life that we talk about, it intelligence enough. That's what we call as life. You can reflect on your own life also. Okay, whenever there is actual need to do something, life provides whatever is required. But problem happens once we sit and now we have to give gratitude or blame. This is where the problem comes. Beautiful energy came to me through Sachi. That was simple truth. We can all agree on that. But when I made that form and said, Sachi is a good person, and it is Sachi who always talks nice thing, and Sachi is the one who is actually the best person and whatnot, I am now making a lot of projections about it and making into like a rigid form. Now Sachi, if she wavers, all of a sudden, I am going to waver because no, I know what she is. But in reality, what she is just a channel like all of us. We all talk, we pray at times, ki, Master, I am a channel. Please use me as you wish. But when we talk about negative dependencies, what happens is we sort of create forms. Like let's say in this example of my friend I told you, like a few friends helped her. So she's like, these are the guys who helped me last time. Next time the same assignment comes, she said, okay, come, we have to do the same thing. Now, why are she calling the same people? Because she had made them into a particular form. They are the one who help me all the time. Now, if they say no, all of a sudden I start becoming sad. No, but how can you say no? Last time you helped, now you're not helping. It isn't. The mistake is not they helped. Who helped is Divine Mother. And Divine Mother chooses the instruments, the vehicles which are available at that moment and appropriate at that moment. If you see, we talk each other, we also say, no, okay, Bindu is my friend. And now you ask Bindu's daughter, she will say, no, Bindu is my mother. You ask her husband, she will say, no, no, she is my wife. But Bindu is one person. Don't you see here one particular form? How can these three roles, and then you continue, each one of us have a very different relation with Bindu, and everyone is true, isn't it? When she is with me, she behaves like a friend. When she is with her daughter, she behaves like a mother. When she is with her husband, she behaves like a wife. And is that it? No. The more relations there are, the more situations, the more engagement there are, the type of energy flows through the form which we call Bindu keeps on varying. How do we fix her now? If we all come into the room, we won't agree what Bindu is, isn't it? But then if all our sadhak, we sit and say, let's define what Bindu is, we can come to one complete and final understanding ki Bindu is a vessel. Bindu is a channel. And whatever Divine Mother wants at different points, she has to play different roles. Then that particular energy flows through her. And that is the reality for all of us. So if we just allow everyone to be that, our expectation of other people, our impression of other people, if we remove them, then our dependency on them reduces. My Bindu is my friend, so she ought to help me. Who says so? Bindu's daughter comes and says she is my mother, she has to do this for me. Who says so? If Divine Mother wants, and the funny part of it is, like I give you an example of ivy. Think about that plant, the creeper plant. The creeper, what does the gardener do? Generally puts a lot of support, and then the creepers goes very nicely and then gives all the fruits and whatnot. And then whenever is the time, the gardener removes the support. Now the next season or after some time, if he puts another support of that wood, if the creepers something challenging the gardener, no, no, but what happened to that other wood? I prefer that. What kind of a stupid question would that come, isn't it? Now we make the ivy or the creeper stupid, but we are very smart. Do you see the resonance? No, no, you have to help me because this is the exchange, this is the form that we have frozen. But there is no frozen form. Best way to look at it is within ourselves. I say, this is me. Anything within ourselves, is it constant? The form looks more or less the same because the change is very slow, gradual. But within the form, abhi I am feeling a little better. After some time, I may feel a little neutral. अगर कोई कुछ बोलता है, I feel a little agitated. Everything, under everything is moving. If I am changing so much, is it possible that the other person is also changing a little? When you allow the other person also to change a little, that allows us to remove the frozen image of the other person. Our dependence comes by resistance to change because we have said that this form gives me stability. My husband gives me stability, or that relation gives me stability. My children gives me stability. My employees or my co-workers give me stability because in that I have made so many projections. And the moment they try to move, we get shattered. Coming back to that, then what happens? Then does it mean that we can't expect from people? Yes. Whenever somebody helps you, whenever you feel assisted by something, we have an option rather than making it very personal. We can still thank them personally. Yeah, thank you, Pradnya, for helping me, or thank you, Bindu, for doing it. But at the same time, it is important to remember it isn't the form. If we remember that there is something more intelligent flowing through them, which is truly helping us, which is the energy of Divine Mother, which is the intelligence, which is basically guiding and running the entire universe, supporting all of us. And when we put our trust more on that, And slow, this will be a gradual shift rather than on the persons or other than the forms that we are accustomed to it. When we shift gradually our focus on the energy or that intelligence, that interwove, which is running that interwoven fabric, we feel more independent. We feel more independence from the, the formed world. Mm. And so with that, I invite everyone to again look at it. Where does my security or where does my stability lie? If it is on the form, if it is on the people, you will see if that shakes from time to time. If you find it is shaking, meaning I have chosen a ground which is unstable. That is a good reminder again to seek my goodness. And then we also start blaming the form which is moving. It isn't his fault. It is my fault that I expected that form to be stable. And when we recognize that, then that's an opportunity to shift the focus onto Divine Mother. Yes, if this is what you wish to do, if this is what you want me to accomplish, give me the support necessary. You can also put like, okay, these are my preferred channels, but don't impose that these have to be those channels. If it is the right thing to do, she will provide the necessary channels, and through that channels, necessary energy. As we do this healing prayer now, before I invite Bindu and others to continue, just keep that in mind also. Like as we pray for these souls, we have actually no idea what is right for them. We have no idea what is the right healing from them. We don't have any idea what is trying to happen in their lives, but we absolutely know there is something in them which absolutely have a full idea what is trying to happen. So when we pray, we just let that consciousness recognize that, because in that recognition, the healing is already there. So let's take a moment as we close our eyes and just tune into, because we are a part of that fabric. We are no different. Just connect into your heart, knowing that that intelligence is what is there inside us and inside every being, and inviting that to be recognized in all hearts. Let's chant Om 3 times. Om. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.